guys, it's Sam and this is my May wrap-up and a small book haul. I'm combining these because right now it is the Monday before BEA, which means I'm leaving tomorrow and a lot is happening and I'm a little frantic right now, like a little bit. I've been doing a lot over the weekend. I did all my work stuff that I needed to get done before the week I was taking off. I did all my school stuff, so I did 2 weeks worth of school stuff, which was just a lot. And then today was all devoted to BEA stuff, but I'm looking at all my stuff. It's a little, yeah. So I'm doing this wrap up because I don't think I'll be reading anything while I'm at BEA. Maybe I'll read something that I get while I'm there, but I'm not bringing any books with me. And I just thought, hey, I'll do this wrap up now, but I also have a few books that I did haul this month. So I wanted to do those now because there's going to be a huge haul for BEA, and I don't want to have to add any more to that pile that I'm already going to have. So I'm just getting these out of the way now. There's only a few of them, and doing that with the wrap up. So I'm going to start with the haul first, after that giant intro that was so unnecessary. So the first book that I picked up was The Bitter Kingdom by Rae Carson. This is the third book in the Girl of Fire and Thorns trilogy. I actually marathoned this whole series this month, so I will talk about this one later. This I already gushed about on Twitter, but it was my boyfriend and I's 2-year anniversary, and one of the things he got me was the 3 already released Raven Boys books. So he got me The Raven Boys, The Dream Thieves, and Blue Lily Lily Blue by Maggie Stiefvater. I have not read the Raven Cycle. I want to, and now I can, because I have them, and have the paperback editions because I just prefer paperback, and I'm just so excited. These are all of the already released books. The Raven King was supposed to come out this fall, but got pushed back, which is kind of okay for me. I know fans are a little upset, but it's okay for me because I want to have time to read these, and I kind of want to read these in the fall just because they feel very fall-y. This is a paranormal YA series, and I don't know a ton about it because anytime someone talks about it, I just skip over it because a lot of people are reading it lately and I've wanted to read it, but I don't want to really know anything about it. So I'm very excited. I know a lot of people that I really, really trust and really love this series, so I cannot wait. I cannot wait. I'm so excited. The last book was actually sent to me from Disney Hyperion, and that is Every Last Word by Tamara Ireland Stone. They contacted me and asked me if I wanted to review this book, and I said yes because of the topic. This is about a girl who's in high school, and she's very, very popular, but she has a secret in that she has OCD, and she has more of the obsessional OCD, so OCD is kind of broken into 2 different categories, and a lot of times they overlap, but there's the obsessive thoughts that just bother you all day, and it's a part of just anxiety in general. A lot of people have very obsessive thoughts. And then there's the compulsions, which are the things you actually do to kind of relieve your anxiety about those thoughts, but it doesn't actually work that way, obviously. So she has more of the obsessive thoughts, and she hides it from everybody. She doesn't want anybody to know. So it's how she's dealing with that and these people that she meets and how she kind of comes to terms with her anxiety and her OCD and everything else. So it just sounds really interesting. I have seen a lot of books with depression and suicide as a topic as far as mental illness, but not a ton with OCD and anxiety. And since I myself have anxiety, I wanted to read about this. I think this is going to be really interesting. So thank you very, very much, Disney Hyperion. I really appreciate it. I cannot wait to review this book. This comes out June 15th, so you'll be getting a review for this right around that time. So that is it for the haul. Now I'm going to get on to the books that I read this month. I ended up reading 6 books, 5 physical books, and 1 audiobook. So for a month that was pretty short for me, since I'm not really reading at all next week, I thought this was pretty good. The first book that I picked up was Mistborn, The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. Yes, I finally have started the Mistborn trilogy. I know, I know. This is an adult fantasy series, and it's set in a world where everything is kind of run down and miserable because basically the Dark Lord won thousands of years ago, and he is this immortal being, and everything is kind of shit. But it basically follows a group of kind of Ocean's 11-y type thieves and their heist that they want to do. So it's set in this world, and there's a lot of political connections to this heist and stuff, but basically they want to pull off this heist, and all of these people involved on this kind of team have the power of allomancy. Allomancy is the magic in this world, and it is where you can burn different kinds of metals. They kind of swallow them in water, and when you burn that metal, you can do different things, and you can get more strength, you can be faster, there's a ton of things. I can't even go into all of it because I'm forgetting, because I read this at the beginning of the month, but I'm forgetting all the different things you can do with this magic, but you can basically do anything. It's like they have superpowers. Most people can only burn one kind of metal, but there are also some people who can burn all of the metals, and I think there's 10 or 12, and those people are called the Mistborn, and they can basically do anything, and they are super awesome. And I loved this book so much. So much. I loved everything about it. I loved the world building, basically everything I could see very perfectly in my head as far as the world. I could picture it like a movie. I loved the characters. I loved them. I loved every single one of them. I was so attached to every single one of them. I cannot wait to get back to them in the next couple of books. I love their character development just in this first book, so I can't imagine what it's going to be from this book all the way to the end. They're amazing. There's so many big personalities, and it's just a cast of characters, a wide cast. And I really like books like that where you have a very large cast of characters. So that was awesome. And they all have a very distinct personality. Nobody phased into the background at all, even side characters. You have a very clear sense of all of them. And the plot is quick, fast-paced, driven. It's character-driven and plot-driven at the same time. Basically, I can't decide what my favorite part of this book is. Is it the characters? Is it the world building? Is it the plot? Is it the magic system? I don't know. It's everything. It's everything. So if it's not obvious, I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely adored it. I'm still thinking about it. It's really good. It's not overhyped. I was so worried that it was overhyped, and it's not. It's not. So I cannot wait to read the rest of the books. I need to buy them first, because I don't own them. But I will. I will soon. I'm very excited to get back to this world, these precious babies. The next book that I picked up was Hopeless by Colleen Hoover. This is my first Colleen Hoover. I've not read anything else by her, but she has been everywhere lately. Everyone is talking about her, everyone's reading her, everyone is raving about her, so I decided to pick this book up first. This is about our main character, Sky, and she is homeschooled, and she, for her year before she goes to college, so her senior year, she wants to go to a public school. So she wants to go to public school with her best friend. Turns out her best friend is leaving for studying abroad, so she goes to public school alone. She's a little nervous about this, and one of her first days of school, she meets this guy named Holder, and everything kind of takes off from there because during their relationship and kind of getting to know each other, some things start popping up that she kind of remembers things about her past. She is adopted and she doesn't remember anything before the age of like 5 or 6, so she starts remembering things about that and everything kind of unfolds from there. This is definitely an upper YA because although the kids in here are teenagers, they are doing some more mature things that you would typically expect in new adult. Also, there are some very dark topics in here. There are trigger warnings in here for rape, child abuse, suicide, and depression, so if you cannot handle those darker topics, I would not recommend reading this. This book was a handful, I will say that. I enjoyed the writing style and I enjoyed how fast-paced it was. It wasn't necessarily the writing style, but just how fast-paced the writing was. But I had a lot of problems with it. There were a lot of things going on in here, so much so that it started to feel actually kind of like a Lifetime movie to me personally. Also, the topics that this does breach in here are so close to what I deal with in my job because I'm a social worker and I deal with foster kids and kids that are being adopted. So I typically don't want to hear about that in my fiction, and when I do hear about it in my fiction, it's very hard for me to believe because I've heard the real stories of these kinds of things and these kinds of events. So I personally wasn't the biggest fan of this, and I felt like it got to the point where it got so unrealistic because so many things were happening. Like I said, it was just so over the top. A lot of things made me uncomfortable, and I can handle a lot of darker stuff, but this was just so much, and it was unbelievable at a point, and I just didn't enjoy it that much. So originally I gave this book 3 stars because I did like the writing, and I just couldn't put it down. But I ended up dropping it down to 2 stars because ultimately I didn't like the story, I didn't like a lot of the characters and some of the situations and the timing of a lot of stuff. I have already filmed a review and a discussion on this, which we posted, I think, this coming Monday. But soon, in the next couple of weeks or so you can get more of my in-depth thoughts on this. I do still want to read all of Colleen Hoover's other books because I think I'm going to like the other ones a ton more. I know this one isn't the favorite of a lot of people. I know a lot of people prefer her other books a lot more than this, so I'm glad I started with this one because now it's just uphill from here for me. But this one, personally, was not for me story-wise. I then listened to We Were Liars by E. Lockhart on audiobook. This book was huge this time last year. Basically all summer last year, this book was everywhere. Everyone was reading it. Everyone was saying that it was so crazy and that it was so good and that it was 5 out of 5 stars and da-da-da-da-da. And I just didn't want anything to do with that hype because after a while people were starting to be like, this is so overhyped and it's not as good as everyone says it is, so I just kind of went hands off with it. But I saw it pop up on my local library's audiobook selection, so I decided to give it a go, and I'm so glad that I did. Everyone says that you should go into this book completely blind. I disagree. You can hear the synopsis for this book, guys. I feel like that was part of the overhyping for this because everyone was like, go in completely blind. No, you can know a synopsis. It's not a big deal. You can know a synopsis. So basically this is about the Sinclair family, and they are a very wealthy family on the East Coast of the United States, and they go to Martha's Vineyard every year. They have like an island on Martha's Vineyard. So it's basically about this family and going to the island and how everyone interacts and friendships and family. That is what it really revolves around, is friendships and family and growing up. So many things are covered in this book. Family and friendship are the main things, but also, you know, classism and racism and everything else. There's a lot of things covered in a very small amount of time, but it is done so beautifully, and the writing is so wonderful. I love E. Lockhart's writing. I hadn't heard many people talk about like the writing specifically. Everyone was talking about like the storyline, but her writing was beautiful and the audiobook was done so well. The emotion in the girl's voice and everything that they are doing, it's just wonderful. I could get a very clear picture of everything, and I really enjoyed all the characters. This is definitely a character-driven story. There's also some plot things going on, but it's definitely about the characters and their interactions, and I got a very clear picture of all the characters. And the characters in here are very complex and very morally gray, and you don't really know how to feel about some of them, and a lot of them you just hate at points, and then you'll love at other points, and it's just beautifully done, and it's just a lot of emotions happen, a lot of ups and downs, and things that you expect to experience during family and stuff. So if you are hesitant about this book, pick it up on audiobook, because the audiobook is amazing, and try it out, because I wanted nothing to do with this book, and now it's one of my favorite books, I think. It was just so well done. I don't want to, again, add to the overhyping from last year, but I believe it was worth the hype. So obviously, 5 out of 5 stars, and I plan on picking up other things by E. Lockhart because I just really loved her writing and her storytelling, and it was just beautiful. I then picked up The Girl of Fire and Thorns by Rae Carson. This is the first book in the Girl of Fire and Thorns trilogy. I actually marathoned the whole series this month because Rae Carson's going to be at BEA and BookCon, and I wanted to just finish out this series before I even saw her. This is Kayla from Bookadool's favorite series, and I am so glad that I read it finally. I've been meaning to read it for so long, and I've been gushing to her about it as I've been reading it, which has been a lot of fun. This is our main character, Elisa, and she has been born with a godstone. A godstone is this like thing in your belly, this stone in your belly, like a crystal kind of thing, and it's basically saying that you are chosen by God, you are the bearer of the godstone. And on her 16th birthday, she's being married off to a king from another realm, and Elisa is a very naive kind of character, and she doesn't know anything really about herself or the godstone or anything else. She just knows there's this prophecy around her that she is supposed to do this act of service because she is the bearer of the godstone, and she doesn't know what that is, and she's being married off, and she's leaving her home, and that's that. And everything kind of takes off from there. So that synopsis just scratches the tip of the story, because this series is amazing. Number one, this series has the most diverse cast of characters I have ever experienced, I think. This is set in a fantasy world that is very much kind of Spanish, Hispanic culture. Everybody in this world has darker skin and kind of a Hispanic appearance. They all have very Hispanic themed names, and their religion is definitely something that is very closely resembling Roman Catholics. And it's like a fantasy Catholicism in a way, and it's so interesting how religion really molds this entire world. I am not particularly religious myself, but I find religion in books fascinating, and the way this is done is so well done because you have religion kind of influencing everything in this world and being a very main theme in this story, but it's not pushed down your throat, and it's not saying that religion is necessarily the best way to go. It's actually kind of saying that look at how history is influenced by religion, look at how the people in power influence history and write history, and look at how everybody says that they think they know what God or whatever the higher power that you believe in thinks. There's all of these kinds of themes and kind of making sure you question everything, and it's a really amazing story and theme around that. And then also, like I said, there's tons of diverse characters. There are disabled characters. Basically, all of the main characters are persons of color, which is amazing. The villains are actually the white, kind of waspy, tall, pale, blue-eyed people. Those are the villains, which is amazing. Also, Alyssa is overweight, so there are some triggers for overeating and binge eating and stuff like that, so if you're sensitive to that, please be aware of it. But Alyssa is an overweight character, and it is pointed out numerous times, which I found so refreshing. It mentions how, you know, like, she can't walk up steps very easily, and she's really nervous about her appearance, and she goes and she overeats when she's nervous, and you never hear about those kinds of main characters at all. So it's wonderful to have this main character who's a bigger girl and can still kick a ton of butt and basically save the world. And it's just so beautifully done, and the character development that you get within this whole series, but even book to book, is wonderful. So I really enjoyed this one, obviously. I gave this one 4 stars, but I really enjoyed it, and I could not wait for the next book, which is why I picked up The Crown of Embers by Rae Carson, which I also really enjoyed. Again, it's all of the world building and the characters. You learn even more in this book. The first book definitely doesn't solve every single problem and doesn't really tell you a ton even about some of the backstory and all the different things that are influencing this first story. So you get to learn even more in here, and it's very slowly drawn out. It's not like you get just dumped with all this information at once. Everything is kind of put in there at a very good pace. These books are paced very well because a lot of things are happening. Basically, from about 50 pages in the first book, it's just a roller coaster from then on, and you don't really get a break. But it's not exhausting anyway. It's not like some series where you're like, okay, slow down, I can't breathe. Like, you still get some periods of like, and then it goes again. But again, the character development is just amazing. It's so good. It's so good. Everything about Alyssa's character development continues within this book, and also, although a lot of things are happening, her weight is still talked about, and it's not like, oh, she got skinny all of a sudden, she's beautiful. Like, it definitely points out that she is a normal, average person, and she's still bigger, and she still enjoys food, and that's fine, and it's just, it's so nice. Also, again, like I said, all the characters basically are people of color, and that is continued to be pointed out throughout the series. So I just recently did a video on picturing characters and how I have a really hard time picturing characters because a lot of times they'll mention a description and then they won't mention it again for the rest of the series. This, you are constantly reminded of how the main characters look, that they are dark-skinned, that they have dark hair, that they have dark eyes. You were constantly reminded, which was awesome because I had no problem picturing them at all. I gave Crown of Embers 4.5 stars. I then picked up The Bitter Kingdom by Ray Carson. This is the third and final book in the trilogy, and again, loved it. The character development here is amazing, and all of the characters that you have and all the side characters are amazing. Again, it's a large cast of characters, which I love, like I said earlier, and it's just a very feminist series. It's just amazing. As far as what I was saying about there being people of color, disabled people, main characters, there are LGBTQ characters in this whole series. It's just wonderful, and it really is female empowering, and Alyssa turns into a person who really comes into her own and just grows so much during the series, and it's just beautiful. It's just amazing, and I really, really loved it. I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars. I'm also going to be doing a spoiler-free review as well as the gush later on this month in the series if you want to hear more of my thoughts on it. I also really recommend this to people who love the Grisha trilogy, as I do, obviously. I still love the Grisha trilogy a little bit more than this series, but there are a lot of similarities between the Grisha trilogy and this series, not in a bad way, not in any like kind of copying or anything like that. You know, it's not like Red Queen or anything, but there are very similar themes and stuff a lot of times, and there's a similar, you know, kind of big cast of characters and some of the things that the main characters are going through. So if you like the Grisha trilogy, I would definitely recommend picking this one up. Also, if the Grisha trilogy bothered you because of the love triangle / love square, this doesn't have a love triangle. So if you were kind of not about that, I think you might enjoy this one even more. I personally, like I said, love the Grisha trilogy until the day that I die, but if you like the Grisha trilogy, I think you'll like this one as well, and look forward to my review on more of my thoughts on that. Alright guys, that is it for my haul and wrap up. I think I'm sweating. There's just a lot going on today and I'm just a little frantic. I haven't had any caffeine or any sugar, but I feel a little frantic. So comment down below, let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them, and if you've read any of the books that I hauled, and let me know about any of your thoughts. And if you're going to be at BEA BookCon, I don't know when this is going to go up, but if you're going to be there, definitely come say hi to me. I'll probably be even more frazzled than I am right now, but I would love to say hi to all of you that are going to be there and meet you and everything. I'm very excited. I'm going to go pack now. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see all of you guys soon. Bye!